An incredible Las Vegas season opener is behind us, but don't get worried, footy fans, because we've got the rest of round one back in the beautiful country, back in this beautiful part of the world. Don't worry, New Zealand, I love you too. But after last weekend's Vegas, we are sitting at a tipping record of 1-1, because how else could we start the season other than being at 50%? But let's get straight into the rest of round one and see if we can get the rest correct. We kick off with the rematch of the best game of 2023. The Newcastle Knights, they are hosting the Canberra Raiders. Both teams looking to stay in finals contention in 2024. Two teams that everyone seems to have on different trajectories, but I am going to take the Newcastle Knights. That place is going to be packed. It's going to be loud. And the Canberra Raiders have surprised us the past few years, but I'm not going to go past Newcastle. I think they've got a pretty soft draw, relatively speaking, to start the year, and I think this is their opportunity to start really fast and get Newcastle even more behind them than they were last year. Yes, they may not be as good as they finished last season, but I am still going to take the Newcastle Knights. They're at full strength at the moment, so I think they are going to start very fast, like I just said. So I think they're going to win. I don't see it being big scoring because Canberra Raiders, Ricky Stewart always finds a way for his teams to hang in the fight. So I am going to stick with the Newcastle Knights 1-12. And speaking of places that are going to be allowed, the New Zealand Warriors, they're hosting the Cronulla Sharks at Go Media Stadium in Auckland. They had an incredible atmosphere for just a trial match, but the Cronulla Sharks, you know that they're going to want to take another level. They had an interesting 2023, the Cronulla Sharks, so you know that they'll want to start fast just to cement their spot as a genuine title contender. But I am going to take the New Zealand Warriors. I was very impressed from what I saw in their trials against the Tigers and against the Dolphins. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I don't think he was going to set the world on fire when he first came back, but holy heckers, did he have some incredible preseason games. So I do think the Cronulla Sharks will make this an incredibly competitive game, but I'm not going to not back the Wires in New Zealand in round one. Friday night, the battle of the two most successful teams of the NRL era, arguably the Melbourne Storm. They're hosting the Penrith Panthers. Penrith will be looking to get off to a fast start, but if there's one weakness the Penrith Panthers sort of have, because they don't really have a weakness, is that they do start relatively slow. You only have to go back to last year. There was the whole situation with Luai and Salmon, whereas the Melbourne Storm, it doesn't matter how well they're going, they always win round one. So I know a lot of people are going to tip Penrith, and rightly so, because they are the bloody Penrith Panthers and you can never doubt them, but it's early on, so I'm going to go the upset. I'm going to tip the Melbourne Storm to get the job done here. It won't be by any more than 2 points, but the Melbourne Storm are at full fitness. The Penrith Panthers did look a bit clunky against Wigan. Craig Bellamy always has his side up for round one, and I know that if it's going to be his last year, there's no way he's losing his first round one game, so I'm going to take Melbourne 1-12. Then on Saturday, one of the great rivalries in the sport reignites. The Parramatta Eels, they're hosting the Canterbury Bulldogs in what should be a packed out CommBank Stadium there in the West. The Parramatta Eels, they'll be looking to get back into the top 8, and that squad on paper is very impressive. The Bulldogs, they need to start fast of what was a really poor end to 2023. I mean, these games always seem to go one way, and that is, it's really close, but then the Eels, their class shows, and they pull away late. So I am going to stick with the Parramatta Eels in this game. I mean, I'm going to probably be saying this all season long. Until the Bulldogs show me a reason to get behind them, I've been burnt by them for too many years now, so I'm going to wait until I see it. I think there's not too much pressure, but there will be starting to build pressure on Cameron Ciraldo if they do not start fast. And they don't have to win the first 10 games, but they just have to be competitive. That saying, I do think I've tipped too many 1-12s. This is the first game I could see being 13 plus, and that is going to go to the Parramatta Eels. The Titans, they're hosting the Dragons, and this is a big game for the Dragons. There's a lot of pressure on them, not in terms of Shane Flanagan, but the Gold Coast Titans, there's also a lot of expectation on them. Desi has gone there, and I am going to back the Gold Coast Titans. It is on the goalie, and I do think that the Titans have some sort of a winning record over the Dragons from vibe. That could be completely wrong, but you guys know how I feel about the Dragons, so I am going to go the Gold Coast Titans. I think they've definitely got the better forward pack. I think Ben Hunt could produce some magic, but between their forward pack and that back line, unless Ben Hunt does produce some magic, I see the Gold Coast Titans winning, and I see them winning 13 plus. And in the final game, the Dolphins host the Cowboys. And this game's probably the hardest one for me to tip because the Dolphins started red hot fast last year. Wayne Bennett maybe entering his final season ever as a starting NRL head coach. And you know how much these players love him. So you know how much they're going to be gunning for this round 1 win, especially at Suncorp. And the North Queensland Cowboys are in sort of a similar boat to the Parramatta Eels, where they're looking to just basically cement themselves back into the top 8 because it's a weird year for the Cowboys. I think this is a defining year because his first year there, Todd Payton, they struggled. Then he brought in all these young guns like Tom Dearden, Ruben Cotter, got the best out of a young of these blokes, cemented himself as a good NRL head coach. But then they had last year, so this is a make or break year in terms of what's the future direction for the North Queensland Cowboys. So this is really a 50-50 game. I am going to take the North Queensland Cowboys. I think that trial match, while they did struggle defensively against the second string Raiders team, I think the Dolphins with some new combinations may struggle against the North Queensland Cowboys because Scotty Drinkwater, he looks like he's on fire. I think it's going to be an interesting game to say the least. I'm not sure if it'll be the highest of quality, but I do think it's going to be very entertaining. I am going to take the Cowboys, but not by much, not convincingly. I'm going to take them 1-12. But ladies and gentlemen, there are my tips for the remainder of round 1. I'm taking the Newcastle Knights 1-12, the New Zealand Warriors 1-12, the Melbourne Storm 1-12, the Parramatta Eels 13+, the Gold Coast Titans 13+, and the North Queensland Cowboys. Seems that I'm taking every home team except for the Dolphins. And you guys know how much I love the Finns, so actually looking at that makes me a little bit upset. But those are my 6 tips for the remainder of round 1, guys. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. And I'll see you in the next one.